Good afternoon, everyone. It's so good to see you. Thanks for taking the time to attend this Affirmations for Life Transformation workshop. This will be fast moving in terms of some questions and some writing, but I do invite you to trust your own voice and how it comes through today. And when a lot of us define affirmations for ourselves, we use the definition that they are suggestions that we may make to our subjective mind. And we may even go so far as they're statements to help, perhaps in a positive way, manipulate the universe into giving us what we want. But I want you to know today, although those are perfectly fine definitions for affirmations, that's not the type of affirmations that I'm talking about today. I remember once being in Las Vegas, Nevada, and making the choice to play some roulette. Anyone here ever play roulette? And I was sitting at a table there with about 6 other people, and I really wanted to win. And so I started to think to myself, Josh, you're a minister. You've got the highest consciousness of anybody here. If anything is going to go your way, it's going to be through your powerful prayerfulness. And I didn't win. And I wasn't winning. And to be honest, I was feeling a little embarrassed about what I had thought and what I had done. And I actually had a powerful experience of the prayer being to not win at all, to be happy, to accept things as they are. And with that, I want to say that the affirmations that I'm talking about today aren't mistruths about ourselves that we want to make true. They're really the telling of our most deep truths. That affirmations can be a way of articulating who we are becoming and who we are seeking to be. And so I invite you in that understanding today to remember that as we answer some questions that are a part of our process. And just briefly, what we're going to be doing today is creating at least 3 powerful affirmations for ourselves. The first is going to be called a creative affirmation. The second is an anchoring affirmation. And the third is a celebratory affirmation. But I'd like to begin by inviting you to ask yourself the following questions. And I'm going to give 2 minutes each for answering these. And I want you to know that's really intentional, because I really want you to listen to yourself. And so sometimes if you're too busy thinking about what you want to write or say, you wind up thinking instead of listening. And so feel free to free write, and we'll see what comes forward as we go along. The first question... The first question, as we get this going here, that I want you to ask yourself is, what in my life do I want more of? What in my life do I want more of? And I'll show you what I came up with. I want more appreciation, and out of that appreciation, a sense that I am living, experiencing, and participating in my true life. Not one that's superficial, but filled with meaning and capped by the eternal. Would you write down what it is for you? Sure. I want more appreciation, and out of that appreciation, I'll get the words right eventually. It's so funny, you can give a 25-minute talk and then you just slur after that. And out of that appreciation, a sense that I am living, experiencing, and participating in my true life. Not one that's superficial, but filled with meaning and capped by the eternal. So just know that these don't have to be complete. They're going to help to inform the affirmations you're going to articulate later. The next question is, what is a statement that most reflects what I want to have happen and who I want to become? What is a statement that most reflects what I want to have happen and who I want to become? So we'll give 2 minutes for that one as well. My answer was, I am a whole person living a whole life, abundant, clear, peaceful, and fulfilling. I am a beneficial presence to those I love and serve. It's there, and it's on the screen too. What is a statement that most reflects what I want to have happen and who I want to become? Sure. I am a whole person living a whole life, abundant, clear, peaceful, and fulfilling. I am a beneficial presence to those I love and serve. Hey, there it goes. Yeah. Some of our answers to these may be simple and clear, and some may feel more complex, but just whatever comes out for you is just fine. The next question is, what is the truth about life that I most want to remember? What is the truth about life that I most want to remember? And when I asked myself this, it was a simple answer, is that life is eternal. Life is eternal. We have one more question for you. You can answer that one, but that's not the one that I meant. How interesting. Here's the question. So it's on there differently. But the question that I really want to ask you is, when I am feeling... Nope, this is it. I apologize. What is something I tell myself when I've accomplished a goal? What is something I tell myself when I've accomplished a goal? Mine is, I am so grateful. Feel free to make any newfound notes on any of those questions, but keep them close by because they'll inform us as we're writing our affirmations. But I would love to just take a minute to maybe hear from a couple people here who are willing to share any answer to any of the questions that were asked. Kathy?
Thank you. I got more and more optimistic and noticed that anxiety and worry was replaced by such wonderful optimism. My answer's on number 3, and I'm a handwriting analyst, so I'm noticing my handwriting's doing something. And what is the truth about life and what I most want to remember? I loved what you said, life is eternal. And then I wrote, life is forgiving. Then I wrote, life takes care of me. And I wrote, life is loving me. And I noticed my handwriting went into extreme optimism and a love towards moving towards the future.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate that. My handwriting is always quite messy, so one time my son was walking behind me. He said, "Can you teach me how to write in code like that?" So it's hard when you're writing that. Anybody else? Yes, Elisa.
Yes, I'll just answer the one about the truth about it. What I love to remember is that I am a divine being of light having a human experience.
Oh, yes, you are. Beautiful. Thank you for that. Maybe one more person? Someone over here? Thank you.
When I came to number 4, what is something I tell myself when I've accomplished a goal, I realized that I'm really good at encouraging groups that I work with to celebrate successes. When it came to myself, I don't do that very well. I'm off to the next goal. I'm running that race. So that's a huge awareness for me. Thank you.
Thank you for that. That can be often a huge blind spot for me as myself, which is a good reason why we're all here. And I think kind of the power of just listening to yourself. I hope you feel some sense of congruence or flow, just listening to yourself and what you have to say, even if you don't fully understand what it is that's coming out of you. Now, I have a technique that I like to use for affirmations that I call AAA. And the first A stands for articulate. And so here are some keys for me for articulating powerful affirmations. The first question is it sincere? I don't like to construct affirmations for me that are clearly not in alignment with who I am in my heart. And so I like to feel that they're true in that moment, and yet at the same time, they take a little bit of courage to produce. For me, I like that term divine secrets. That affirmations, in a sense, are telling divine secrets because they're secrets sometimes that we've not been willing to admit to ourselves, but they're secrets about our deepest and most profound truth. And so a very sincere affirmation for me may be, I am loved. That's something I really want to know and experience, that I am loved. The next question, though, to ask ourselves is, does it stretch you enough? So we want it to feel true about who we are, but we don't want to have it sound so true that we take it for granted. And so in a sense, when we're writing affirmations, we're not lying to ourselves, but we're casting out our net to begin to articulate a higher idea about who we are and the life that we want to live. And so with that affirmation, I am loved, that may not be enough for me. I may have issues with seeing myself as love-worthy or as able to give love properly. So I may stretch that a little bit and say, I am loving and I am loved. I am loving, I am loved. Not true for me all the time, but I want to get better and better at it, okay? The next one is it clear without being overly specific? There's a power, as we'll talk about in an affirmation, about being really clear about what you want, but not being so specific about how it has to happen that you limit it. We often say this or something better in our tradition. So for me, it may be I am loving and I am loved always and all of the time. Or in my relationship with my spouse. Or in my relationship with my coworkers. Or with the congregation here at Mile High. And so there's something about being specific, but not so I am loving and I am loved every night at 9 p.m. by my spouse. Because then you're kind of limiting yourself a little bit. And lastly, how does it sound when you say it out loud? Because that's the thing about an affirmation. You may notice you write it down, or you say it out loud, or you say it with different emphasis. The first practitioner that I ever had, she gave me an affirmation to work on with abundance. And it was a simple one, God is my source. She said, Josh, when you say it, try saying it, but emphasize each word. God is my source. God is my source. God is my source. God is my source. So there's something about playing with these words and saying them out loud in a way that really speaks to your heart. And so working on this affirmation about being loved, I came up with, I am love-worthy, consciously choosing to give love and receive love every day. And even as I say that, I feel a little less weight on my center. I am love-worthy, consciously choosing to give and receive love every day. And so you keep saying it out loud until it begins to really resonate with your heart and with your soul. Any questions? So with that, we're going to look at the first affirmation I'm going to invite us to write today, and I'm calling those creative affirmations. These are affirmations that affirm what it is you want to co-create with Spirit. Say them as part of your morning spiritual practice. That's the best time. And so this is where we're kind of casting our net out and saying a statement. And we may not know exactly how it's going to look like, but we're knowing what it wants to become. So, for example, I am experiencing inspiring abundance. I am stepping into the next dynamic phase of my career. I am participating in meaningful relationships. And later in this workshop, we'll talk about being more specific about how we want those affirmations to take place. But what I'm doing is almost creating a medium, a statement that is going to allow Spirit to work through and for me and in the creation of our lives. In our teaching, it's very interesting because we aren't all just about total volition, that you're totally at choice, and yet we're not fatalistic either, in the sense that we say everything that happens to you, God does. We believe that we co-create with a creative mind our life. So it's our mind, and capital I, it's mind, and we work together. And so these creative affirmations we're articulating, but we're also articulating them with a higher mind in mind. And so with that, I'm just going to invite you to take 2 to 3 minutes here. You may look at those answers that you gave to the questions earlier to construct for you A creative affirmation. If for some reason you're really struggling, you can raise your hand. Those are that are here in the room anyhow, and I'll come over and support you. At least one. If you missed that online, I said that you can create several creative affirmations if that comes forward for you, but I am hoping that you come up with at least one. You'll probably notice, if you haven't already, that most affirmations begin with that powerful statement, I am. They don't need to. Yes is a powerful affirmation. No can be a powerful affirmation. But this I am has a little metaphysical history in it that goes back to interpretations of the Bible, where Yahweh tells Moses, I am that I am. And so the idea is that when you say I am, you're speaking not only for your own self and your own life, but you're also embracing that part of you that's your spirit self. You know, God is the only being that just gets to be I am itself. I get to be I am Josh. But when you claim I am, you're also claiming your metaphysical center. But it's not required. And so I invite you to look at what you've written, and ask yourself, is it sincere? Does it stretch you enough? Is it clear without being overly specific? And we'll experiment with this a little bit right now. How does it sound when you say it out loud? So I'm looking for a brave soul or two who's willing to say their affirmation out loud, and we'll see where we're at, all the way in the back there.
I do feel brave.
You are brave.
It's funny because you were talking about the I am, and I scratched out have and put am
All right.
before you even talked about it. I am experiencing amazing love in my life. I am able to engage with beautiful souls who I love, and they love me.
Oh, I love it. How's that sound to you?
It sounds really loud.
Well, hold the microphone away, and let's say it one more time, if you don't mind.
Okay. I am experiencing amazing love in my life. I am able to engage with beautiful souls who I love and they love me.
Beautiful. I really like that. I love that idea of I am experiencing amazing love in my life in particular. Maybe one more person. Anybody else? Oh, Jackie.
I love sharing my over 4 decades of experience, wisdom, and knowledge with my new psychic advisor tarot business.
Cool. I like that. How's that sound to you?
Kind of loud.
Loud too. It's these microphones. Good. I really like it, Jackie. Janet.
Very powerful.
It does feel powerful, and that would be my thing. Is it? It's clear, but is it in any way limiting how that wisdom gets expressed? But it's great, Janet.
I am young at heart and have a strong, healthy brain. I am participating in meaningful, healthy relationships and enjoy the abundance of life. I am clear about my next steps in life.
How's that sound to you?
Sounds pretty good.
I like it. Well, and you see the relationship between affirmations and affirmative prayer, because what Janet just read is a beautiful prayer. The thing that I would invite you to look at is that last statement. Is it about being clear in each step you take, or is it about having clarity about what's next? Great. Thank you for that. Beautiful sharing. Which her? Janet, do you mind saying yours one more time?
I am young at heart and have a strong, healthy brain. I am participating in meaningful, healthy relationships and enjoy the abundance of life.
I love it. I love it. And we'll look at that later. That's the other thing that Janet has, and this may be where you come out with several creative affirmations. I enjoy the abundance of life. Just within that self is so powerful and kind of creates this vortex to have opportunities that create that for you. And so there's a simplicity in each of those statements by itself, and I'll show how to work with those statement by statement a little later in the workshop. Yes? Yes?
Do examples could or should have an action verb in them? Like experiencing or stepping or participating?
Should we have an action verb? I think those are always helpful. But as we'll share, an affirmation can be one word. Like we said, it could be yes. But there is that aspect of I am experiencing, I am embracing, I am participating with, I am open, I am willing. So there is this idea of the receptiveness to what it is that we're wanting to see create without outlining it so much that we feel it can only happen one way. Great, good question. Does everyone feel like they have an affirmation that they like or they can at least work with a little bit? I'm looking for hands here. Okay, kind of there. We're still working on it. I am the most beautiful woman in the entire world. It could be true. So the next step of the AAA practice is called anchoring. And if you were here around New Year's Day for the intention setting workshop or the service that day, I talked about a great book by B.J. Fogg called Tiny Habits. And it's this great book that's about taking habits that you want to build in your life and using them throughout your day. One of those tiny habits was called the Maui habit. And it goes something like this. When I wake up and put my feet on the ground, when I get out of bed, I will say, today is going to be a great day. So what a wonderful affirmation, right? And what he's doing there by when I get out of bed and put my feet on the floor is called an anchor. And so an anchor are things that we do in our life every day that we can then take our creative or any affirmation and apply them to. And so I'm going to invite you to take 2 minutes and free write some things that you do every day. For me, it might be morning meditation, brush my teeth, hopefully, lay my head on the pillow, say hello to my daughter. For some of us, it may be drop the kids off at school or park my car at my office. So just free write some things that you do every day, or at least within your working week. Take a shower. Put on my clothes. Take off my clothes. Get the coffee in the filter. Yes, Shirley.
So, Josh, I always like when you talk about doing your meditation around your coffee.
Yes.
And that just popped into my
Shirley likes it when I talk about using coffee as a key meditation tool. Could be prayer, walking the dog, saying I love you to your spouse. I'm not going to walk the microphone around on this, but what are some that you came up with? Write in your gratitude journal. Great. Ooh, the steam showers. What else do we have out there? Yes, Jackie.
kiss honey buns, my kitty.
Phew, thank you for clarifying. Your kitty. Yes, kissing your kitty.
Yes. Her ears, her pink nose, and her pretty paws.
Awesome. Oh, did I hear one over here? Driving. Yeah. Going to the bathroom. Yes, great. And so one of the things, and we're going to come up with 2 other affirmations as well, but I want you to highlight one of these activities where you can easily say, as soon as I'm done brushing my teeth, I will say my creative affirmation, right? Or as soon as I lay my head on my pillow before I go to bed, I will say my creative affirmation. In my morning spiritual practice, after I meditate and say a prayer, I will repeat my affirmation. As soon as I get to the office and turn off the car before I get out, I will say my creative affirmation. So just think, the more you want to create, the more anchors that you want. You can find 10 anchors in your day to repeat your affirmation. And not only does it help build the habit of saying your affirmation, saying those at those different times of day kind of allows you to open up to that affirmation being answered in that very moment in your life in more creative and interesting ways. Any questions on this part? Great. The next kind of affirmation that we're going to write or articulate for ourselves is a centering affirmation. A centering affirmation is an affirmation that anchors you in great truths. Say them in times of distress or anxiety. And so I remember I was living in Seal Beach, California, where my good friend Rick, who's visiting, Reverend Rick Brown, is visiting me this weekend from there. And I remember I got home to my apartment and realized I had locked myself out of the apartment for like the 4th time in 5 months. So I didn't have a key, and so I felt like an idiot, and I was embarrassed. And so I go ahead and I call the landlord who lives on site, but she's not there, and I leave a message. And I have a dinner appointment. Luckily, it's somewhat in walking distance, so I walk down to the main street, and the appointment isn't there, and I'm feeling awful and not enough and all of that is going on, and I just sit down on the bench, I close my eyes, and I just slowly start repeating. I probably look like a crazy person there. Everything is in divine right order. 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 And after a couple minutes, I look down at my phone, and there's a voicemail. and it's from the landlord. Hey, I'm here and up till 10:30. Come by anytime. Phew. I look into the restaurant, and there, the person I'm going to have dinner with is already there. And so all of a sudden, saying that affirmation that centered me, that anchored me, began to create the space for everything to be in divine right order. Now, one way of looking at this would be the really spiritual way, which is everything is in divine right order and it's going to reveal itself. The other thing is I just at least stop telling myself my victim broken story long enough to have something else replace it so that something good could happen. Because where I was in a panic or fear place. Whenever I'm in a dentist chair, I love, there is one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life. That life is your life now. And I go to the dentist within that. And so that's what I mean by a centering affirmation. It's an affirmation that you can say to yourself when you're in distrust, when you're in uncertainty, or when you're in fear. Because it's okay to be those things, right? When you're in that unknown place, it's that affirmation that we can say to center ourselves. So let's just take 2 minutes and see if we can articulate for ourselves a centering affirmation. So who has one that they're willing to share? Hi, Sherry.
I let go all my worries to spirit and know that divine power sustains me.
That is a bitchin' affirmation. I love it.
It's a long used one.
I am exactly where I need to be right now. Everything in life is in divine right order and happening for me as an invitation to look more deeply.
Wow. Wow. Beautiful. Thank you.
I'm going to do 2. Everything is always working out for me, and zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day.
My, oh my. Lisa.
The God in me is bigger than any problems that I face. And my other one is the power within me is stronger than any situation, condition, or circumstance.
Oh, I love that. One of those reminds me of an affirmation that Dr. Roger loves to use that he got from a mentor. Little me move over, big me take over. I love that as an anchoring affirmation. Sarah, were you going to share? Come on over. I can come to you.
It's just, all existence has evolved to this perfect moment.
Wow. You are allowed to do a divine ditto, which is take as many people's affirmations as you want for yourself. Anybody over here want to share? It's the quiet side of the room. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding. Rick.
The universe always says yes, even to me.
Oh, I like that. I like that. And, that's an interesting thing with affirmations because they can be said in the first or the third person. And for me, that's always a great rule for affirmations and affirmative prayer in particular is, can I know it for myself and can I know it for everybody else? And that's my rule. I try to not pray for something for myself unless I'm willing for everyone in the world to have the same thing. And for me, there's something accepting about that, but I appreciate that, Rick. Thank you. Great. So does everyone feel that they have a centering affirmation? I liked how Sherry pointed out, a lot of us have had one for a very long time, and maybe we just didn't call it that or utilize that. And so you can also, just like the creative affirmation, anchor this in the day. So every day when I turn off my car and before I exit it to go into my office, I will say, everything is in divine right order. Every day when I sit down and talk with my son, I will affirm everything is in divine right order. And so you can see where these anchors can really help us build these affirmations in our lives. Sometimes I like to call it building your life with divine ideas. That's what we're doing here with Affirmations for Life Transformation. We're building our life with divine ideas. Any questions? Okay. Oh, yes. Saying this allows the things outside of us to be perfect, but especially the action inward. Yes. And, there's that old saying that you can't get what you want if you don't know what it is, right? And for a lot of us, part of us knows what we want, right? Or an affirmation can say, I may not know, but something in me knows. Right? That sounds contradictory, but we found that probably true at times. And so these affirmations begin to build that space for a congruence with what's going on inside us with outside of us. And that's why I argue sometimes we have to tell our divine secrets. And every secret, there's no such thing as keeping it. They're all told. If they're not admitted, they express in our relationships or in our lives unconsciously. And again, we're using positive affirmations, but can you think of all the other shit that we put ourselves through, affirming the opposite of those? And so these creative affirmations and anchoring affirmations help build that consciousness to keep us grounded and stop us from slipping into those old patterns that may be creating hurt or things that aren't good for us. Any other questions? So the last step of AAA, we articulate, we anchor, and then we apply. Where can you daily apply your affirmation? And I'm going to invite you in your practice to apply your creative and your centering affirmation in two ways. One is if you have a morning spiritual practice routine, when you're done with your meditation or reading your book or your prayer, I want you to take however many centering affirmations that you have and take each one and think about how you might see it show up today, or how you might see it show up this week or this month. And so I've used 4 creative affirmations in my life this year. The first is, I am stepping into the next dynamic phase of my ministry. I am stepping into the next dynamic phase of my ministry. Now, I have no clue what the hell that's supposed to mean to me. But when I sit with it, I might think about giving a good talk at church on Sunday. I might think about taking some time to write my book. I might take some time about seeking to better embody my professional creed, which is I practice genuine honesty and professional intimacy. And I think about doing that better. The next affirmation for me is I am experiencing inspiring abundance. Again, bold, but what the hell does that mean? right? And so I think, oh, I can see myself receiving a check this week. Or, and this is something that was true for me, my bank account balance isn't where I want it to be, but you know what? I'm paying my expenses pretty darn good. And so it helps me to see the abundance that's there and to see where I want it to show up. The next was, I am participating in meaningful relationships. This one's been really good for me because I can go, you know what? You haven't called your brother. You need to call your brother. Or when I go to work today, I'm going to focus more on connections than on accomplishing and getting stuff done. I am participating in meaningful relationships. I'm going to make sure that my relationship with my wife isn't transactional, but transformational, right? That my marriage isn't a marketplace, that it's meaningful. And then the last one is I am healthy and well, which again is broad and clear, but what is that going to look like? I'm going to make sure I get my exercise done this week. I'm going to eat my lunch in silence. I'm going to see if I can let go of alcohol, Monday through Friday this week, whatever it may be. How does it show up? So one way is in your morning spiritual practice, just in your mind, just in your within time. The other way to effectively apply is to journal. It's the beginning of September. So the first of every month, whatever it may be, take some time and write your creative affirmations and see where you want to show up. You can, of course, do this with your centering affirmation as well. Everything is in divine right order. Where do I want to see that show up most clearly and specifically in my life this month? Okay. The Great Book of Journaling. Great, check that out. I love that. Thank you very much. So the last kind of affirmation that we're going to write is I'm calling them celebratory affirmations or a celebration affirmation. And you may want to look at that last question that you wrote the answer to about something you can say when you accomplish something. And it could be something simple, like what do you say to yourself when you succeed at something? Anybody? Yay me. Yay God. Thank you, life. Hip hip hooray. I am blessed. So take a moment just to write down what a good celebration affirmation may be for you. It could just be yes with a moment. You can have an active movement-based affirmation. Self high five. You got this. Ludwig Wittgenstein, the philosopher, the linguist, he said something once to the effect of, that which we fail to articulate, we pass over in silence. And I think what he meant to say is that language is a very important thing. And if you can't put something into words, in a way sometimes it's like it doesn't even exist. Or I think of Emerson, who once said that there's more kindness in each of us than will ever be known. And what both of those statements mean to me is that if you don't celebrate your accomplishments, did you really achieve them? Did you really embody them? Did they really take place? From one perspective, yes, of course they did. But sometimes we never give ourselves enough credit for the lessons that we've learned, or the good and a connection that we had, or our ability to have a courageous conversation. And so that's where a celebration affirmation can become really important. And Fogg, again, he inspires some of this idea. He talks about gratitude. And we're all big gratitude practitioners here. We're really good at that. But celebration, that ability to set goals, track how you've done at them, and then when you've achieved them, to celebrate it. And you don't have to throw a party, but there are things that you can do. You can have a prayer partner or someone you share that with, or you can have that affirmation. So I'd love to hear a couple celebration affirmations from us today. Does anyone have one? Life loves me. I love it. Anybody else? Linda. Yes, I am amazing. Yes, you are. Blessings abound. I love that. Amen. Good. I'm more than I've known myself to be. Yes, great. This is fantabulous. I love it. I love it. And so I was telling you about that Maui habit that Fogg talks about. And one of the things that he shares is it's not only is a really good habit to wake up in the morning and affirm today is going to be a great day, but it's like giving yourself a little victory. By remembering to do that and making it a habit each morning, it's like, oh, I can take the next step. I can set the next goal. And I would say it's the same with your celebration affirmation. And you could say, my goal is to use my celebration affirmation 5 times a day, 10 times a day. And what you'll start to do is you'll start to focus on these little achievements that are taking place, and it's going to build a kind of spiritual momentum. It's going to help you feel like you're better living in the flow. And those creative affirmations, those anchoring or centering affirmations, those celebration affirmations, it's going to be more and more where that came from. And so when we're building our life with these divine ideas, we're not only building a way of life, but a way of seeing and a way of receiving and a way of living more at one with our lives, with our best interest at heart, as opposed to from a self-critic or from a shame place or from a not being enough or from a wanting the universe to give us something place. But it helps us to live from our wholeness so that we can say, I am living as a whole person, living a whole life. So any other questions? I'm so grateful to the folks that are watching online today. I just want you to know that if you want to share any of your affirmations with me or any questions, I'm at Reeves, Reeves, at milehighchurch.org. Don't forget that HI for the high. I think Dr. Fred just thought that was cool. It's different here, right? So any questions, comments? So the last part of this process is to see if it worked. Do you have a creative affirmation, a centering affirmation, and a celebration affirmation? And to, in a way, because I was talking about those divine secrets, there's something really powerful about telling them. And so there's something that's ritualistic and a little scary, but I'm going to invite folks, if you feel comfortable, to come up and stand right where I am and to look everybody in the eye, a camera too, and to share one of each affirmation. So if you're willing to do that, and then when you're complete, we can all affirm that person by saying, and so it is. Do you know where and so it is comes from? Abracadabra. Isn't that interesting? Abracadabra. You could. That's a good celebration affirmation. So again, the 3 affirmations that you've been supported, hopefully, in articulating today is a creative affirmation. This is an affirmation that you say in light of living in a creative universe that you want to co-create with Spirit. A centering affirmation, which is a divine truth that is easy to forget, that you need to remember in stressful or uneasy times. And then a celebration affirmation, which is something that you can say when you've accomplished a goal. So with that, I'm going to hold this and just invite one at a time anyone who's willing to come up to share their affirmations. We're not commenting or criticizing. We're just beholding and affirming you. Yeah, I just don't want more than 3, just so that everyone can have time to share. Yes.
And would you say what the 3 are again?
Creative, centering, and celebration.
Do we have to share all 3?
No, you can share whatever one you want. F yeah might be one of somebody, and we may not want to say that in church.
So this is my creative one, which probably is my hardest to share. I am experiencing inspiring, intimate friendships every day exactly as I am.
And so it is beautiful.
My creative affirmation, I am strong, vibrant, and have all the stamina required to live my life fully and prosperously. My centering affirmation is I can have the condition without the condition having me. And my celebratory one is I am smarter than I think I am.
I like it. And so it is. Thank you, Elisa. Feels good when you complete it. Brendan Behan said that our fears are paper tissue thin, and a single courageous act would help us step right through them.
I am contributing joy to the world. I bring fulfillment and harmony, listening to find peace. I am grateful for the abundance of opportunities for me to experience oneness. And then to celebrate, life loves me.
I love it. And so it is.
I have pages to flip. I am an open conduit for Source to flow through me in a loving and compassionate way. Everything is perfection. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And so it is. Did you feel how she said that? So it's the words and then the feeling was great. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I am succeeding in the next dynamic, amazing phase of my health journey for myself and others. Amen.
And so it is.
I am a whole person being a beacon of light to those around me. I am love, giving love, and am touched by God. Everything is in divine order. Yes, you got this. Thank you, God.
I love it. And so it is. Thank you. Remember, there's no such thing as an awkward silence, just those of us who feel awkward in the silence. So we can create a little silent space.
So my centering was love is the answer. We've heard it for a long, long time. And my affirmation is simply, I am taking the steps towards becoming a more loving person.
And so it is. Thank you for that. Charlie?
Centering, God is good, God is all. Creative, I am creating meaningful relationships. And celebratory, thank you, Lord.
Thank you very much. So it is. See, I want to say, Christy, you're going to have to keep training me.
What's that?
Your name again?
Steph.
Steph. I will get it. We had this conversation this morning. Pardon me.
This is my centering. This is only one speck in the long expanse of time. I take a deep breath and feel this unravel.
Wow. And so it is. Anybody else?
Let's see. You ever tried to type on a phone and not have your glasses?
Yes.
All right, let's see. I am connecting with other beautiful souls on a deeper, more sincere level. And my centering was, this is another stepping stone on my journey to my higher self. And my celebration was, bam, that was awesome. Let's do it again.
And so it is. Excellent. Excellent. I love those affirmations that take us deeper into our relationships and how we want to relate with our loved ones. Anybody else? All right.
I am telling myself a better story. I am always loved. And I'm going to finish with zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day.
All right. And so it is. See.
Creative is I'm experiencing abundance. I'm experiencing inspiring abundance in all areas of my life. Anchoring. Everything is in divine right order. And celebratory, divine goodness flows through me. Yeehaw.
Ah, and so it is. Beautiful. Thank you, everybody. My challenge to you here in this room or watching at home is don't keep your affirmations a secret. Don't just keep them on the unconscious or in your inner life, but find ways to use them and share them in your relationships, for example. Is there someone that you trust that you could share these affirmations with? Somebody that you can bring them up here Sunday mornings up to these practitioners and they will affirm them with you. Is there a place where you can write them down and make them visible to yourself or even of others to see? And finding these ways to share these affirmations, and especially if you can, to be beheld in them. You may have noticed that when some of the people were sharing, you could actually kind of see them physiologically, take on or embody their affirmations. And at the least, just practice saying them out loud, not just in your head, so that whatever is listening can hear and respond. And so I hope you got something out of this workshop today. Just a reminder, I'm sure there's a love donation bin out there or something, or you can go online probably at the page where you're watching this, and there's a link that you can give a love donation if you choose. Know that it's not required in any way, shape, or form. Yes?
So obviously you've been at this a long time, and I want to be just like
is it the gray hair?
When I grow up, okay? So does this become So does this become, with all the years, decades of practice that you've had, does this become easier for you, or is it still a challenge after doing it for a long time? Or is it good that it's still a challenge because you're pushing the frontiers of who you are?
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you for treating me like an expert. But it's all,
Fake it until you make it.
It's all practice, and sometimes it's the challenges that break us open. And so, last July, I was kind of hitting a wall, both at home and at work a little bit. And I got to take a couple days, and there were two main practices that I did. The first was to write some creative affirmations. I wasn't calling them that yet, but they were really needed. And part of why I was stuck is I was clearly living in my universe and not God's universe, kind of defining everything there. And so these creative affirmations helped me expand my faith over time. The other thing, which will be a workshop, we'll probably do it another times, is I picked 4 virtues that I really wanted to practice every day. They were preparation, receptivity, accountability, and composure. And I would use those in my morning practice too. But I only share that to say that happened about 1.5 years ago, and it wasn't the result of my incredible spiritual brilliance or practice. It was being called to spiritual practice when there's no other way for us. Because if we don't figure it out, we're going to continue to face our own judgments, our unhappiness, and where we feel stuck. And so, part of the question is, yes, part of the question is it okay to be stuck? Yes, we will have time, but that isn't a result of our ignorance. That's a result of us being initiated into what's next for us. And so if you're in a place where you're feeling it's time to be initiated into the next phase of my life, these creative affirmations can really work for you. And there's a reason why we call it practice. It's to continue to have that beginner's mind with the expertise of our experience and bring those with heart together. So, yes?
So this is a question.
I'm going to hand you the talking sticks just so folks at home can hear too.
Sometimes I like the I am, and I use those for ones that just stretch me a little bit. But like I have an affirmation, what if I live in divine mind? Which to me is a further stretch. So I put what if in front of it. What do you think of that?
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can be as creative as you want. A real important affirmation from me is in the form of a question. And it goes like this: what if you're wrong? Because I love to live under the illusion that I'm right. It keeps me safe. But what if I'm wrong? And then I especially try to tell that to myself. The anchor point for that is when I'm dissing myself or dissing someone else or telling a story, and that can help open me up too. And so you can use these. And like I said before, for some of us, we're doing yes, yes, yes. We need some no, 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 right? There's the anchoring affirmation of when someone's doing something to you that's crossing your boundary, or something's taking place in your life that's interrupting the sanctuary of your mind. No. We don't have to be violent about it, but no can be a powerful affirmation. I like to say that your yeses in your life are your offense, and your nos are your defense that help you fulfill, and keep fulfilling your goals. So anybody else? Great questions. Yes, Janet.
I just want to express appreciation for the music on Sunday mornings, especially the short songs that happen before the service, where we get to get up and sing along, because I find myself using those all week long. My time of centering is often walking the dog, and I will find myself just singing those songs, and they're really great affirmations.
They are so great. And, it's important to point out, too, that's another thing. Sing your affirmations. And, before the written word, that's how religion got expressed, is it was passed down primarily through song, because a song is something that we can learn to remember and say over and over again, where, Josh's talking blah, blah, blah is not always easy to remember. You can pick out a point or two, but we could all know the words to Margaritaville, whatever else that was saying. Great. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you so much for attending. Shirley, I hate to put you on the spot, but would you mind saying a brief closing blessing for us today?
Absolutely.
Thank you. You can just say it from right there. Thank you, everybody.
So we will just now take a moment and breathe in that very breath of life and recognize that that is all there is. God is all there is, and each one of us is one with God. So I know as we make our way home or to our next event, we are safe, we are protected. And I also know that we are so very grateful for this time together. We're so very grateful for Reverend Josh and his wisdom and his experience and his love for us. And so I say with deep gratitude, thank you, God. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Shirley. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend if it is that for you, everybody. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you to our incredible production crew for sticking around for this, especially and for their talents.